Hello and welcome to Rate That, the podcast where four mates are attempting to expand their horizons by trying out each other's recommendations. Each episode, one of us suggests a task to the rest of the group to try something they truly enjoy. We then get together to discuss our potentially friendship-ending opinions on something that is often very meaningful to a member of the group. Last time it was Ben's turn again, and after half the group didn't think his first suggestion was all that funny, he's made the bold decision to suggest another comedy. So we all sat down to watch the series, Garth Marenghi's Darkplace.
Right, trying to explain Darkplace. It's tricky. So the basic premise, I say basic as if it is basic. The whole thing is basically a parody. So Garth Marenghi is a character played by Matthew Holness, and he is a parody of an arrogant horror author who, within the world of the show, created this TV series for Channel 4 back in the 80s, and they refused to show it back then. So now in 2004, it's being re-released and being seen by the public for the first time. It's a show within a show. So you've got actors playing characters who are actors who are bad actors. So essentially, the whole thing is intentionally shit. The editing is intentionally shit. There's jump cuts everywhere. There's continuity errors everywhere. The audio's terribly dubbed. It's intentionally out of sync and awfully mixed. The special effects are awful. And in my opinion, it's hilarious. But that's my attempt to explain what it is. And when I was sort of writing my notes up for this, I did decide to Google some reviews. Atrocious editing, bad audio, wobbly sets, cheap props, incompetent framing, inept visual effects, and terrible performances. A tour de force of badness. I personally love everything about this show. So please have at it and rip it apart.
I've written a little intro first line before we get into specifics of episodes. On paper, this was promising. I like Richard Ayoade, Matt Berry. It's a Channel 4 comedy from a great era of Black Books, IT Crowd, and Father Ted. But unfortunately, that paper on which this started out as promising turned out to be tissue paper, and when I turned it over, it was covered in shit.
But that's the point. It's supposed to be shit.
But it's not good shit. It's fucking crap.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew it was shit, yeah.
Yeah, look, right.
Because it was meant to be, it's meant
yes,
to look rubbish.
How is that funny?
Well, I thought as TV and video editors, as we all are, doing the job that we do, I thought we could all appreciate the nuance of what they were attempting to do. I personally find it really funny, but obviously from previous episodes of this podcast, let alone anything else, we've learned that my sense of humor is not shared throughout this group.
You just seem to like things that aren't funny. So I don't know if you know what a sense of humor is, with all due respect.
A lot of the reviews I've read absolutely love this show as well. Like,
I've got a review that because I've got a review. Not an actual review. I found a review because you are right. Every review that I saw, most of were positive. It's sort of like got a cult following, maybe in a way. But the review, I'm gonna save it because we're gonna go through obviously all the episodes that we watched. This is why I'll save it to the end. It perfectly sums up how I feel about this, I think. Except he probably went a little bit easier than I feel he should have.
You have said it. It does have a cult following. Like it is only one series because when it originally came out, it had very low ratings and it was not recommissioned. But since then, it has gained a cult following.
So when I went in my first couple of weeks of uni, I got handed this series on a really, really awful torrented download DVD copy, and I don't think it had all the episodes, and the quality was awful. But I sat and watched it, and I was like, "This is fucking hilarious."
I feel like the quality being awful might have made it even better.
When you suggested it last week, I was excited to watch it on a legal streaming platform for the first time because I haven't watched it since first year of uni. So a little while. And like when I watched it back, I had really fond memories of watching it in halls in student accommodation. And it sort of took me back to that time. But what I loved the most about it all was Richard Ayoade playing Dean Lerner, playing what's his character's name?
Thornton Reed.
Yeah. So when he plays Dean Lerner, it's brilliant. It's really funny. But when he plays Thornton Reed, it's awful. And seeing him have a phone conversation, put the phone down, look at it, and just say bye every time cracks me up because of how stupid and ridiculous it is.
The phone conversations are ridiculous in the entire series. And you mentioned Richard Ayoade. One of the quotes from the reviews that I've actually written down was, "It's so difficult to act that bad at acting."
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. And that's what made me laugh the most, was like how they've gone out of their way to make it look really, really shit. And it kind of also, when I watched it the first time, it gave me hope that maybe actually I could have a career in the TV industry. Because a lot of it looks like it was shot in a TV studio at a university, particularly when Garth is driving his car, which just, I have no idea what that car is.
It's the best thing. It's like a golf cart without a roof.
Without a roof, yeah, but looks like a sports car, but it's too small for human beings.
In one of the episodes when he gets out and he's like, "Don't play with the windows," that cracks me up every time.
Yeah, and they all work in a hospital, and they all seem to be carrying guns that just get pulled out of lab coats as and when it's needed. Yeah, it's just the ridiculousess of it. Like watching Richard Ayoade just fire off shotgun shells in episode 1 while smoking the most enormous cigar I've ever seen.
At a funeral, I might add.
At a funeral. Yeah, I think, personally, it is really, really funny. But I don't know if I'd watch another series. I think once those 6 episodes are so nicely contained as one, 3 hours of stupidity, I don't think I could take another 6 episodes.
It kind of saves it that it wasn't recommissioned. And I think that has helped it gain this sort of cult following.
But so Matthew Holderness has gone on to write more books and do like stage shows and
as Garth Marenghi, yeah.
As Garth, yeah. So it sort of has lived on in 2023, 24, hasn't it?
Anyway, Kai's been very quiet up to now. Have I ruined Matthew Berry for you? Is my question.
No, because if I'm honest with you, he was a saving grace for a lot of it. Just because his voice generally, I think, gets most comedies out of a sticky hole, and I think he can kind of just make anything funny. Let me just give you my overall thoughts, and then, like Josh said, we'll go into specifics.
Well, we don't have to.
We fucking do.
I think theoretically, I should have loved this. Like, I should have loved it. Like pretty much exactly like Josh said, I should have really liked it because it's quite silly, and the manner in which they're doing it, like to make it something look terrible, those things crack me up. Like you said, the weird framing, the odd dubbed audios, those type of things did crack me up. I like the over exaggeration of their acting. The thing that really, to me, let it down was I didn't find the writing that funny. Like, I think if this is me trying to say what I think to a cult classic, essentially. Some of it was just a bit too bananas for me, like to find funny. I was just getting a bit annoyed with how, like, that weird eyeball kid thing.
You also suggested Rick and Morty in an earlier episode, so I just interested why you thought this was a bit weird.
Because
a bit out there.
Well, the thing is about Rick and Morty lives in a realm of disbelief straight away because it's a cartoon. So you can allow like some form of, you can give it a little bit of a break because it's already removed from real life. This is, I know.
So do you think Game of Thrones is real then? If everything's shot with actors in Kai's world, everything might happen.
No, I think some of it was just a little bit too.
I will back you up here. I've written down the words, episode 1 is potentially too weird too soon.
All of them are too weird, though. That's the thing. Like,
What I found funniest, yeah, well, you know the little moments which were a little bit more real, like when he goes up to the kids' wards and he just has these weird conversations with kids and he like gives them a salute as he goes off, like he's some type of those type of things I found like pretty funny. The Matt Berry stuff I found pretty funny, and I put in one of the notes up. For example, Brass Eye, which was what 7 years older than this, is to me one of the best TV comedies ever made on British telly. Yeah, I think it's incredible, and it's always funny.
I don't think you'll get any arguments to that here.
But that was satirizing quite day-to-day stuff like the news, for example, or Crime Watch or whatever. It's satirizing that. This is satirizing a 80s casualty-esque program with a little bit of America thrown, well, more American soap thrown in. So it could have played it a little bit more straight-laced in terms of the stories. I think the storylines were just a bit throwing me a little bit. It was just a bit too far gone.
well, should we go into specific episodes? My first note, and this is the thing, I overall, on the grand scheme of things, away from what I've said so far, we know I thought it was shit, but it wasn't. It was disappointing. That's the problem with this show. My first note in episode 1, and I was actually surprised because I thought I'm gonna like this. I had to pause it 4 minutes in because 1, I'm asking myself what the fuck's going on, but 2, I'm laughing at the bit where Matt Berry just screaming while he's shaking this woman's hand. Now it's batshit crazy, but
that was the bit that made me write that down. That it's potentially too weird too soon. That bit where he's screaming, I was watching it going, this isn't quite portraying what it's meant to, but it is funny.
But that made me laugh.
Is that, jumping into the weird and surreal far too soon?
So I'd written that down, and I'm thinking, okay, actually, we could be on for a good one here. But then immediately after that, probably a couple of minutes in, and I've written it's a bit too weird. Some parts are funny, but then they ruin it with and this is where the writing comes in, I think, where they just add stupid shit that doesn't need to go in. Like they're having a conversation or whatever it was, and then Garth Marenghi just literally for no reason says, "Blah blah blah blah. I'm going for a shower." It's not necessary. It's not funny, and it wasn't necessary. And that ruined it. That ruined the whole scene. But it ruined the whole scene. It didn't need to. It was unnecessary. I just thought it was just stupid. That to me was just it's just trying to cram lines in there that just didn't. They just fell flat for me a lot of the time. And my final note on Ep8 was that I know it's a parody and it's meant to be made badly, and you've already touched on why that was and everything. But it was just jarring to me, and it just wasn't funny. It made it that you say because obviously we're in that sort of field and that's our job, and as an editor we probably appreciate it. It pissed me off more because that's probably completely what we are trying to avoid doing. As a job, we try not to do that. So it's fucking annoying when that happens. It was pissing me off. It was winding me up, and by the end of Ep8, I was like, what a fucking letdown.
See what? I reckon I would have found it a lot funnier if I was watching it with people. I think if I was in like a group setting, I think I'd find it funny. I think on my own, like watching it on a commute, it was just not.
Oh, it's not one to be watching on a commute. You can't watch it distracted.
Well, it just wasn't hitting for me. It just wasn't hitting for me at that point. Like
there is some science that says that if you watch comedy in a group, you're more likely to laugh more because I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's this idea that when you watch stuff on your own, you might go, yeah, whatever. But you watch it with a group of people, other people's laughter is really infectious, and you sort of laugh. That bounces off of that. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to go up to Josh's house and watch all comedy with Josh to see if that helps it improve it for him.
See if he laughs at all.
At all, yeah.
Well, that's what I said. I think if we were to watch it together, I probably would find it a bit funnier.
I don't think I would.
On my own, I don't know whether it just wasn't hitting for me. Episode 1, anyway. The first note I wrote is Matt Berry is just a legend. The cat flop was funny. I don't remember what that is.
That was early on. So when when Liz is walking in and there's supposed to be a cat come up to her, it just gets like thrown at her out of the door.
Yeah.
On
Oh
the side.
yeah. See, I
You
found
see
that
the hand just drop it at her feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what it's trying to be. Currently, I'm not really finding that funny. I've got a little bit of brass. It's got a little bit of brass eye about it, but brass eye at this moment would have had me crying with laughter.
I feel like you've got too much brass eye in your head and you need to watch it without brass eye in your head.
Yeah, you can't compare them. You can't compare them.
I know you
Yeah, because
can't.
one's
but-
shit and one's great.
Whoa.
And Matt Berry saying, "Am I holding a crock of shit?" I found that funny. For episode 1, I did write, I think I might like this.
Yeah, the only thing I wrote down for episode 1 was one of my favourite lines from the whole series, which was, I wouldn't say I buy it, Liz, but let's just say I'm window shopping. And right now there's a half price sale on weird. It just comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, that's funny.
Is it?
It's not.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah, it is funny.
No, it isn't.
It's not funny the way I deliver it, obviously, but
No, but even when he delivered it wasn't funny. It's just, talking about it, like I said, I was disappointed in it as a whole. And now talking about it is making me think, actually, it's shit. I wasn't just disappointed, it's fucking crap.
I can actually see in your face you're getting angry now.
Because
Yeah, I was going to say.
Talking about it.
I'm not angry. Like I said, I was disappointed. But to hear
That's
you tell me,
worse.
to hear you exactly, but then to hear you say things that you thought were funny when they're fucking absolutely not, that pisses me off. You're right. That does make me angry because it's not funny, and I won't be told otherwise.
It's not funny to you. Every time you watch it, you will notice something. You will notice something that you didn't notice the first time as well. That's the thing. There's so many elements to it that they've intentionally done badly. You can't pick them all up the first time you watch it.
Ep1 is my favourite, I think, just because of the shootout in the graveyard is ridiculous.
It's mad.
And it's so weird. That bit always cracks me up. Seeing that, particularly Richard Ayoade with his shotgun. Yeah,
There were things that I liked about it. The cheesy opening titles where he's carrying that baby and he does a flip into the ditch where the explosion. That made me laugh. Like, that I liked. But I think it was the drastic nature of how badly the whole thing was made that it ruined it. And the more that went on and the weirder it got, which I think as the series goes on, it gets weirder.
Yeah.
That's where it just fell off for me. I was just like, what could have been was what kept going through my head. And then we went to Ep8.
yeah, which saw the is it one of the first times Stephen Merchant has acted
Yeah,
in a comedy?
It must have been because it was. Well, did the Office came out after this, right? No, The Office came out before 2001 to 2003.
He's barely in the office. He's barely in this. He's one
He's the chef.
scene. Chicken will be ready in 5 minutes. Son of a bitch.
The amount of times he said "son of a bitch" is.
So this was the one with telekinesis, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you can really say that he was in it because he wasn't really in it.
He was. He was.
He was in it for like a second. He wasn't in it for that long. I remember when you told us that it's like it launched one of the acting careers of Stephen Merchant. I thought he'd be like a main character. I didn't expect like.
Hey, he had a speaking role. That's the main character in this.
Yeah.
So
Noel Fielding is only a monster for about 30 seconds, but he's still in it later
Yeah,
on.
he doesn't say an English word in the entire thing.
He does ride a BMX around a lot.
true. If I'm honest with you, I think Ep1's kind of where it peaked because even though it's weird, it's the most normal. And after that, I think all the rest of the episodes just become.
It's weird that you say that because Ep1 is my least favorite because it's the most normal.
Okay, we are opposite ends of.
My favorite episode, for the record, is Ep5 Scotch Mist.
do you know what? I can't get my hat on right. I was sat here a few weeks back and listened to you say that you didn't like Rick and Morty because of the voices, right? And you didn't find it funny. And yet you fucking made us watch this sack of shit, right? His voice is annoying, right? The one that he puts on. That's irritating in a bit. I got over it, but it was still a bit annoying. But yet, you fucking love this and you don't like Rick and Morty. I just don't. It doesn't compute to me because I didn't particularly care for Rick and Morty. But fuck me, I'd sooner watch that than this. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I disagree with you about his voice, considering I've just listened to an 8-hour audiobook of him reading his own book
Which is wild.
in that voice. And I'm about to start another one.
You need your fucking head looking at. Honest.
Ep8.
Back to Ep8.
I've written, would this show be cancelled now? Especially this episode. I know it's a parody, but still, it's very. I know it's very sexist in a parody way, but it's still sexist.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, like when Stephen Merchant's smashing her tray of food out of her hands just for no reason.
Yeah, like I say, stuff like that kind of, that slapstick kind of stuff was quite funny. And like, I love how, like you said earlier, Tom, I love how Richard Ayoade just keeps pulling out a shotgun, and for most episodes, like he's like, I can't hold the plates off for much longer. Like, but he's just got a shotgun firing out the window, like. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. There's elements of that, but then they go and ruin it by doing something stupid.
As if firing a shotgun at plates on a string is not stupid.
No, it is. But then something they add a line in that. This is what I mean about adding things in that didn't need. That's funny. Stop there. Don't tell me you're going for a shower or a cat's just fucking whatever it may be. Like adding things for the sake of adding things is what I feel like some of the stuff was.
What did you guys think of the director's commentary interviews that's intercut with the
those bits were funny. I like those. Well, again, I liked Richard Ayoade. What he said was, I laughed at what he said. I don't particularly find most things that Garth Marenghi says weren't really that funny to me. And I feel like Matt Berry, his voice gets you, but when he was in those interviews, they had him playing him like he was really thick. Like, and obviously he's acting, and I get that, but it wasn't necessarily funny. He could have done more. You could have had him be more like more flamboyant, I think, in those situations.
Yeah, I've written for episode 2. I found that the interviews do get a bit annoying. But then my next note is the interview where Dean Lerner describes that, he tells us that each episode was running 8 minutes under. So anything that wasn't dialogue was considered for slow motion.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. See, there's moments in it which are really funny, like that. But you describing it is funnier than me watching it. I don't know why. With you saying it just then made me laugh.
Do you need me to reenact every episode now?
I think we do need that.
I actually wrote, funny enough, now that Josh mentioned that from episode 2, when the guy that plays Garth isn't really that great. I think Matt Berry would have been better.
Matt Berry's in it.
I know, but after that, that was the last one I gave proper, more extensive notes. After that, for the rest of the episodes, if I'm honest with you, they're one-liners.
No, mine are quite still.
Well, the next episode is you've already said you didn't like the next episode. It's the Skipper That I Child.
Okay, so my note for that is, what the fuck is going on? I'm instantly confused.
Yeah, this is the weirdest one so far.
It is weird, but I don't understand how you can be confused. It's literally spelled out for you.
Okay, Ben, why don't you spell it out for me and tell me why I shouldn't be confused? Go on.
It's spelled out for you in the episode that the child is a metaphor or a simile or whatever you want, or a symbol for his own want of a child.
No. Well, what is that? What is that child that he's holding in that episode, Ben?
It's a weird eye child. It's weird because the show is weird.
No, but describe what the weird eye child looks like, Ben.
An eye with a load of raw flesh around it.
So it basically looks like a
made out of really weird prosthetics. It looks like a testicle to you because you've got a weird brain.
My first note for episode 3 is that eyeball's banging that man, yet you didn't find Rick and Morty funny.
I didn't say I didn't find any of Rick and Morty funny.
But it's an eyeball banging a man.
Yeah, for about 5 seconds of a 20-minute episode.
Yeah, but yeah, because after that it clears right up. It's fucking sound. Nothing more weird happens. He doesn't have a son that was half grasshopper. What the you can't. That's not a defense.
So when Dan was saying that, I don't know what was confusing about it. Listen to what he said.
I think that this is one where the boat was pushed out, and I was just like I've put like parts of this reminded me of, obviously you've got people from Mighty Boosh in it, but like that's what this sort of follows on. And I've written that, and I thought Mighty Boosh was weird, but I've written that I think this is way weirder than Mighty Boosh. It's just too weird. This episode especially was just too weird, man. And this is the thing, like, I want to ask yous why it was funny. Why is that a funny episode to you? I don't know if you could. I don't know if you can articulate how.
That's
why.
it. You can't articulate why something's funny, can you? If you find something funny and I asked you why do you find that funny, you'd find it quite difficult to explain why.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's what I'm getting at. Is that I want you to be able to tell me why that's funny. Why that whole, just the whole oddness of it, like what, especially in that episode, like, but you can't, and that's, I think that's what's difficult about stuff like comedy, is that, you know, we came across this before. It is subjective, but this was just next level shit. Like,
Yeah, this was my least favorite of all of them. It is weird. I mean, the whole thing's weird, but I don't know. I didn't find certain parts of it particularly funny. I don't know. This one didn't really hit for me. And sometimes it just depends what time of day you're watching something, like how much, like what kind of mood you're in as well. Sometimes I think that has an impact when you're watching comedy. What makes me really laugh about a lot of this stuff is they do everything that you shouldn't do when you're making a television program. The really bad dubbing, the fact that they've spliced in really, really, really long bits of dialogue and the characters literally opened their mouth for a second, and just sort of how sort of stupid and ridiculous it is. That always just tickles me. It's kind of like, in any other term, it's shit, but for some reason in this universe, it just makes me laugh.
Like I say, it was this whole experience for me has been a massive letdown.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
the podcast in general, or just this?
No, this one. Like, I thought it couldn't get any worse than No More Jockeys. Like, your life must be really, really horrible. This is where you get your kicks and your jokes from. I'm sorry, but fucking hell.
If you can't laugh at anything in these episodes, your life must be terrible.
Yeah.
No, but I have. This is the thing. I'm telling you, I have, and I've found some elements of it that were humor. But you think it's fucking hilarious, and it isn't.
Who's hurt you, Josh? Do we need to talk about it?
This show, this fucking show.
Is it just because you feel like you should have liked it, and you were expecting to like it?
Yeah, this is what I think. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I said, on paper. All the actors, I'd not heard of Matthew Holness before anyway, and I know this is probably what he's most famous for anyway. But the rest of them, you know, I'm broken. What was it about? IT Crowd, you know, I couldn't remember the name. IT Crowd, hilarious. I absolutely love it, and it's a bit weird. IT Crowd is still a bit weird. You know, there are still elements of it that are weird, but there's just enough. There's just enough weird, but then the rest of it's relatable. And it's funny. You know, everyone's had that IT person that goes turn it off and turn it on again. Like, and the nerds and the goths and the corporateness of it all and the top bod. You know, everyone has worked in a situation or known someone that talks like this, and absolutely not. And, you know, like, but this is so far-fetched that if it doesn't pull you in straight away, it's done. It's too far-fetched. There's nothing about it that's relatable. And I just think that if your writing's not bang on for it, then you're fucked.
I think Josh is right there. Like the IT crowd, if I'm honest, he's actually quite. I didn't even think about that. He is the right like amount of silly or like weird. Like for example, Chris Morris just getting up and just walking out of the window. Do you know what I mean? Things like that are weird and silly, but they are hilarious.
What do you guys think about Mighty Boosh then? To put it on a similar level, because
If
I don't
I'm
think
being
we've
brutally honest, I never liked the Mighty Boosh. I never found it
didn't
funny.
like Boosh.
No, I never really laughed at it. I thought it was a bit too bizarre. We were at uni when we watched it, and I felt like I had to like it because everyone else
Yeah,
liked
yeah.
it.
I've watched it since I watched it years and years and years ago and thought it was weird, but I was of a younger mind, and so probably and other people said it was funny, so I was like, yeah, I get it, it's funny. And then I've watched it since, and it is just as mental as this, and in a way, yeah, it's not as great as everyone bangs on about, and it's not as great as I probably once made out that it was.
What we've learned is Kai and Josh need things to be based in reality, apart
No,
from
it's not
if they're
that.
animated.
I do wonder. I do wonder whether I would have liked Garth Marenghi more if I'd watched it when I was younger and had a bit of nostalgia about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
I,
me and Tom did both watch it
this is what I'm saying.
years
I
ago.
kept it fresh, and I can, if I'm honest, I can see why people like it, and I can see why people would find it funny. I just wasn't finding it funny. I like it just
That's
wasn't.
fair enough.
It's much better than No More Jockeys. Like put it like that. Do you know what I mean? I had a better viewing experience watching this than I did No More Jockeys.
The only way is up, Ben. The only way is up.
Well, I don't know. I'm never suggesting comedy ever again.
So Ben,
Hi.
so explain to me why you like it so much, though. Like, if you were to rank this in a comedy list, let's say would you put it in a top five of all-time comedies that you love?
Maybe it'll make top 10 for sure. Top five, potentially, but like maybe four or five. It wouldn't be top three.
I'm curious to see what you find funnier than this.
Well, you've already said one, Brass Eye, and I lumped Brass Eye and the Day to Day in as one thing.
Okay, yeah.
They're essentially the same.
I want Josh to set a comedy next. I really do, because I want to know what Josh finds funny, and it can't just be like you can't go easy, Josh, with like The Simpsons or like Family Guy.
Simpsons season 4 to season 7. What I think we should do is, Josh, I think you should tell us that review that you were saving.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So, like you did, I read IMDb was the best way to read some of the reviews, and like you say, there was loads on there that were 10 out of 10, best show ever. But there was one that probably stood out to me as explaining it, summing it up. This whole podcast that we've talked about, what we've spoken about, this summed it up for me in a succinct way that I thought is probably the easiest way. It was a 6 out of 10 rating, which was still too high, but whatever, let's not. And the guy wrote, or whoever it was wrote, I wanted to like this series as it really nails the aesthetic of low budget 80s productions. The props are great, the acting and costuming is appropriately B-movie, but that alone isn't enough to carry the series. If the same effort had been put into writing as it was into production, this could have been a classic series, but the writing is lackluster. There are laughs to be had, but in some episodes, they're few and far between. Everything feels tepid and safe. I'm surprised that this has such a high rating. So everything that I sort of found remotely funny or a little bit funny was probably more to do with the actors, i.e. Richard Ayoade and Matt Berry, and how they were doing their thing. Everything else about it just fell completely flat and just in the end wasn't good. So there you are.
Each to their own, I will say.
I think we know where the ratings are going in this episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot we have to do that. So I guess we're at that stage where I've got to ask you, even though it's blatantly obvious, unless Kai throws in a massive curveball. Let's start with Tom. Did you rate that?
I did, yes. Yes, I am a fan. I did rate it. I would recommend it to other people. It's a bit of a soft spot as it brings back a lot of good university memories for me as well. So, and I enjoyed coming back to it having not watched it for a really long time, and it made me laugh again and again. So yes, I do rate it. Kai?
I didn't rate it. I wanted to like it. Maybe if I watched it when I was at uni as well, I would be more inclined to rate it, but I just can't rate that.
Josh.
Curveball would be if Josh rated it.
Yeah, you imagine.
It's very, very clear that I did not rate it for all the however long this happens to be. Just go back and listen to why I didn't rate it, because plenty of reasons there. It just didn't do it for me. I thought it might, but it's a hard no from me, I'm afraid. Apologies. Actually, no, I'm not even fucking sorry. It was shit.
So we've all had 2 goes at suggesting something. Would we maybe decide that is series 1 and we start a new series, maybe with some new ideas, maybe mix up the order a little bit as well, a few rules maybe, so that we can sort of give some fresh new content ideas?
Do you mean rules like Ben can never say comedy ever again?
Well, I wouldn't be that restrictive, Ben, personally, because I've enjoyed the 2 suggestions. Actually, that's a good point. Of all the things that we've suggested one another over the last 8 episodes, have any of you got a favourite that isn't yours? You can't just go, I like Metal Gear Solid.
Well,
Josh.
given I can't choose my own, and throughout this whole series I've only rated one thing, I'm going to have to go with Fall Guys.
You're a hard man to please, Josh.
I am.
You're a hard man to please. You are a hard man to please, but maybe that's good, because I seem to just like everything. So you're at the other end of the spectrum.
You've all got a goal for series 2.
I will say there is only one thing that I am still going back to and still and still partaking in, and that is Fall Guys.
Chimp Empire?
Was it my favourite? Chimp Empire? No.
we hadn't mentioned it to round off the season. If I'm being brutally honest, I think it's gonna be 3 for 3 for you, Tom.
Oh shit!
I think it would be Fall Guys for me. I think that was my favourite.
I wasn't expecting that.
What was yours, Tom?
I guess like the on the outset of the podcast, we were trying new things, and of the 2 things that I hadn't seen before or played before, watched before, was No More Jockeys or Chimp Empire.
Come on, man.
If you say your favourite was Chimp Empire now.
Round the season off with an absolute win for Chimp Empire.
What a redemption arc. Taking 8 episodes. Nah, so I'm gonna have to say, because I didn't rate Chimp Empire, so I'm gonna have to say
I wasn't
No More
expecting
Jockeys.
to get any votes, but he's gone for it.
Because I have gone back to it. So there you go, Ben.
I'll take that, considering the battering I've taken over the 2 choices.
So see you for series 2 then, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. In a bit. Shouldn't have said in a bit.